Okay, in regards to shihk as murder, someone might like to say that you can't determine who in public should be slaughtered is something Allah would like to hear said. You can't determine who in public should be slaughtered. Now, you'd have to watch my previous video in order to understand this. But the way to parry with that isn't necessary to conflict with that, but to kind of serve both sides of the table. Certainly, in general public, you can't determine just who to slaughter and slaughter people and not commit shihk. That's it's blasphemy to take that upon yourself. And just there's no technical way of doing it in modern society, strictly speaking. Strictly speaking, modern society, to the best of my knowledge. Anyways, but to counter that, there is a guy in your house and he's got a gun or a sword, and he's set on killing you. He has the means of killing you, and if you don't kill him because you have no ability to apprehend him or stop him, he's going to kill you and rape your daughter, and that's the end of that situation. So you kill this man, correct? You've determined it is ethically sound to kill this man. You've committed no crime. Now, this never took place, or this has taken place, or it's not you, or it is you. However, you're in public, and there's this man. Now, he's raped your daughter, or he's raped someone else's daughter and committed murder, but there he is. And he's not attacking anyone. He's not being aggressive or offensive or anything, but there he is. Now, the best way I like using examples is to use extreme examples. So let's say there's 18 of these guys, him and his friends. And they may have their weapons, they may not have their weapons, but they're not being aggressive. They're not being oppressive, they're not being threatening. But we've already determined it is ethically sound to kill each and every single one of these guys. Now, to say that you've committed a shihk by slaughtering them, even against God's will, is errant. It is ethically sound to slaughter each of these guys. But to suggest that you've infringed or come close to committing a shihk by endangering the rest of the population's security, because maybe these guys have a larger faction. There's things that you need to take into consideration. It's not necessarily ethically sound just to go and slaughter these guys because there they are, they're out in public and we know they're criminals. We have to determine the grounds and the conditions. But there we are, we're out in public and we know these people should be slaughtered. And killing them isn't particularly a shihk under any grounds, because you might be naive to the dangers and the conflicts, but letting them go is a shihk. So you're constrained by this problem. So there's both sides of the table in regards to that. You can't just say it is good under Allah's convictions to say you can't determine who to slaughter in public. But of course you can say that, and yeah, it's a very agreeable statement. Now, another interesting point, it's not really making a big point, but it's an interesting point, I suppose, is that when you're talking about the general public, shitting in water isn't so bad that you ought to kill these people, right? It's blasphemy, but it's not like death on the spot for that. Eating hormone-saturated animal blood, again, it's not like murder. It's not an offense that you'd murder someone for. Just like cutting grass with non-renewable resources. And I guess the way that, what actually leads into this is that if God is yelling at you, kill this person, kill this person, kill this person, you can literally have an audible, you can hear God demanding that you kill this person. Killing this person necessarily isn't a good idea. Even if it's actually God. God can be having a fucking heyday and he really wants someone dead and he really wants you to do it. And if you don't do it, he's going to kill you in contempt and he's angry. No, well, it still doesn't indicate that you should do it, because you're better to keep God's statutes and be killed and punished for disobeying him than it is to fall for that trap. Because even if he actually wants you to, it's still contemptible. So you're really in an iffy situation, and that could be the devil tricking you too, right? So you got to be concerned about that, and so you just slough it off, and it doesn't matter. I'm not saying I've ever experienced anything like this. It's a hypothetical situation. And one moment I gotta catch my breath because I'm out. So you're in a tough spot, and it's the same situation. You just killed this guy, and God's yelling at you, and God's yelling at you, and God's yelling at you. Satan's yelling at you, Satan's yelling at you, Satan's yelling at you. Maybe Satan's yelling at you because this first guy was supposed to die, but the second guy that jumps on you. Now there's 5 different ways of looking at this situation. It's all the same situation, but different guys. There's a good guy who's trying to stop you because, like, in a good manner, okay? There's a second guy, he's a good guy, but he's just trying to stop you because he's like, what the fuck? And then, so there's a bad guy, and he's trying to stop you in a good and ethical manner, like he's following the law kind of thing. The way the book references the law, he's following the law. Secondly, there's a bad guy, and he's just trying to stop you, just trying to gain control of this situation, because everything seems kind of fucking crazy. And then there's the bad guy who's trying to stop you for a bad reason. So, now, you are being yelled at, and you just slaughtered someone that was supposed, in this situation, we're specifically only going to go with the case where the guy that you killed first should be dead. He was really bad. It was clear, it was distinguishable, and that's regardless of how guilty you are for attacking him because of your shihk or delusion, he's supposed to die. The second guy, though, whoever he is, there's a certain degree at which you're in a situation where you're actually threatened. You killed a bad man, and so now you're very, very intimidated. So, let's look at a scale of 1 to 10. Now, depending on how you conduct yourself, you might get away with level 1 murder. Now, level 2 murder, out of this 10, is unforgivable. I mean, the first one is technically unforgivable. But 2 is, no one's going to forgive this. I mean, no one's going to forget this. Like, the consequences are irrevocable, and they're negative. Like, they're bad. Like, you really fucked up. It's not like a sin where you screwed up. You're like a complete fuck up. And that's completely based on how you handle the situation. Regardless of how much yelling is in your ears, or how frantic the situation gets, or regardless of who is on top of you, it really comes down to how you handle yourself. And then, if the situation were to escalate from that point, and you had committed a second murder, well, we'll refer to it, the second one's at least a murder, whether the first one is or not, well, that's a pretty fucking serious situation, and I don't have any method of evaluating that. That's just, you know, that's completely out there. But the point was that you shouldn't be able to allow yourself to be trapped by Satan. And God will test you to throw you in a hole, because he hates people that fuck up. But I'm not saying God will literally shout at you, or that God does shout at people. It's a certain point of heinousness. Now that is relevant because when there are these evil people shitting in water, eating animals, cutting grass with non-renewable resources, all you have to do is remember, if God were to be shouting at you like crazy, God's just shouting at you, fucking slaughter this person, slaughter that person, he's angry all the time. I've never experienced anyone that can possibly relate to a scenario like this. I'm just being frank, because who knows what will happen with people and with the world and etc. The best thing you can do is just sing to God and completely ignore the voice. Don't even act like it's there unless you have someone that you can literally relate to on the subject in some manner. Just ignore it and just sing to God praise of God. If it's the devil, the only thing he really wants from you is for you to sing praise to God. Just, I don't want a world where people cut grass with non-renewable resources. Yeah, shit in the water is fucking crazy. It's stupid. You know what? Just desolating the forest is crazy. Capitalism's shit. And if you do that, God will love you so much that that's just the best thing you can do regardless of any scenario. And that is the solution to the predicament that you're in. So, if you feel like you should be slaughtering people because you have determined that that's good judgment, well, it's not. The best judgment is that God, if he wants them dead, he'll slaughter them. If he wants everyone in public dead, he'll slaughter them. And the fact of the matter is that he does an excellent and expedient job doing it. And that is an actual fact. So, don't ever allow yourself to be deceived like that. And yet, the entire topic of the discussion was, it is fathomable that a Muslim is capable of using perfection to eradicate a population, or people in a population. But are you a fucking Muslim? There are no real Muslims. Everyone's striving and fallible. And I mean, to the absolute best of my knowledge, I can go out there and kill a single person, particularly in the matter because me personally, I would go out there. This is personal. This is personal at this point. If I went out there, there's 7 billion people in the world, and I hate so many fucking people, that if I can find someone and I can sit them down in front of me even for a moment, the best thing I can do is just try and convert them. Like, you know, you're immortal and let's burn the fuck up at the end. Now, of course, I'm not endorsing any murder conducted by anyone, whether they're Muslim and there was absolutely no shihk involved or not, because, well, I don't have the constitution and the conviction to determine whether or not that actually was without shihk. So, point. However, I can easily determine that it is very, very easy to evaluate public and find out who's ethically sound to slaughter. That doesn't make an amendment for much. So the point was, God is expedient. God is perfect. And, well, you know, shihk is comprehensible even when you bring it down to the most heinous of crimes. And remember that if you're ever in a tough spot. Peace.